is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with a video today. We're going to talk about the trade that just went down not too long ago. You got the Portland Trailblazers trade Kent Bazemore, Anthony Tolliver to the Kings for Trevor Ariza, Winyan, Gabriel, and Caleb Swanigan makes a return back to Portland. The Blazers basically get $12.3 million back in salary. I mean, less in salary because of the contracts that they traded, cutting their luxury tax bill in half, which means they're saving money and they're going to be a team that's under the tax, which is very important considering that Portland is one of the worst teams in the NBA this year. You don't want to be being over the tax or having too much of a payroll, considering that you're not really doing nothing as a team. And at the same time, even if you only want to pay that amount of money when you're competing for a title, not just paying the money just to be paying it. But when you look at the players that they got back, they're not going to make that much of a difference. Even when Caleb Swanigan was on the team, he didn't really get that much minutes a couple of years ago. And even though he is a versatile guy, he's not going to make that much of a difference. I think we all would agree on that. I'd be surprised if he stayed on the roster. You get Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza is not the same player that he once was. And a lot of people might say, oh, they got Trevor Ariza. He's a guy that can play defense and give them length and size, which is true. But Trevor Ariza offensively just nowhere near what he used to be, and he's very inconsistent too. And his defense is no longer great. Yeah, he might be slightly better than Bazemore, who hasn't been great either. But Trevor Ariza is giving you 6.4 points per game in Sacramento, and on top of that, he's not really giving you that much production in the minutes that he does get, which is kind of surprising because Trevor Ariza has been a big difference maker in his career. But you know, he has been able to stay in the NBA and stay a little bit productive in the time that he got. But he is no longer that 3-and-D guy that can switch and guard multiple positions. He can give you length, he can give you a little athleticism, but his days of being a huge impact player is no longer there. And it's kind of unfortunate too because that's the type of player that the Portland Trail Blazers need. They need somebody that can defend the wings and give them size and athleticism and consistent three-point shooting. Bazemore couldn't do that, and he wasn't the size that you actually wanted, and he didn't really have the defense anymore. Bazemore was known as a solid defender in Atlanta, but since then he has been a guy that's been streaky and never really been known for his defense either. And you know, this trade really do make sense for the Blazers when you look at the money that they save and the opportunity that they get saving that type of money. But they gave up, to me, the better players when you look at it. Tolliver and Bazemore, those two players give you deeper rotations in Sacramento, a team that we felt could be possibly a playoff team, especially coming off the year that they did last year and the offseason that they made last year. They took a lot of gambles and paid a lot of veterans, and Ariza was one of them. And a lot of people didn't really understand why would they take on Trevor Ariza, knowing that they had to pay guys like Bogdanovich and guys like Buddy Hield contract was coming up, and then you still got to pay guys like Fox and Bagley down the road. So a lot of people was kind of confused about what Sacramento was doing with the roster. And I can understand people concerned, especially because you just see the results is they haven't really done anything this year. I know they had a lot of injuries happen, like Bagley and Fox, and even Hill went down, and they just couldn't stay healthy in the beginning of the season. But they still was fighting. They still was competitive, and I think Lou Walton did a good job. Even though they got off to a terrible start, they was able to fix a lot of that as the season continued to go on, and now they just became a bad team. They struggle a little bit offensively. They don't really play any defense at all. They didn't really do that last year either, but at least they had an identity. At least they had something that they could do conceptually as a team to get their team at their best, and we haven't really seen that consistently through this season, and mainly because of the injuries. But when you look at the Sacramento team, you can kind of understand why they make this move. This move gives them a little bit more floor space and a little bit more versatility if they decide to keep these players when it comes to the lineups. But other than that, I really want to see like the point of Sacramento making this move, because I don't really see this move making them a significantly better team. I don't really see this move really turning them into a legitimate playoff team. They're going to need a better move than this, even though Ariza was basically giving them nothing outside of when the injuries was occurring. He gave them some quality minutes to a certain extent. But other than that, this team is basically showing you that Portland just trying to cut the money, and they're willing to take a guy like Ariza, and this is just showing you that Sacramento, they still trying to figure out what can they do to make a real push in the playoffs, which just hasn't been the case this whole season. And it's very unfortunate because a lot of people was excited to see if Sacramento can make that next move, but a lot of people was excited for the Blazers this year, and they thought that they'd be a great team. Even I had them making the playoffs just like everybody else, but that just hasn't really been what has happened. But I do like the fact that they were getting some guys that can really impact 3-point shooting outside of other positions on this team. Because when you look at this team, outside of Buddy Hield, can you trust Justin James? Can you trust Daquan Jeffries as guards? And I think the answer is no. Bogdanovich and you look at Hill, this team really don't have that much versatility when it comes to shooting, and Bazemore gives them an extra guy. Even if they have the injuries, at least you know that he's going to try to bring that to the game, and he's not going to really try to do more than just that. And then you look at Tolliver, he does the same, give you shooting at that position, which they do need at that power forward position. And I think that he can be a good difference maker too. But Kent Bazemore is nothing more than just a guy that's going to shoot threes. He's no longer a 3-and-D player in my eyes, but he is a guy that can be very solid for them. But remember, Ken Baymore is only 6'4". He's not 6'6" or 6'7". So that's not going to be a great upgrade over anything. But Sacramento, they're in a situation where they're 15-26, and they really got to see what they're going to do with this roster, because last year there was a surprise team. Everybody was giving them praise. Everybody was showing them love. Everybody was, picking up on them because they seen Sacramento going in a different direction. They was actually winning games. They was actually going out there competing. It was fun to watch and exciting, and they just couldn't build upon that this year. Even though I did have Sacramento missing the playoffs, I didn't expect them to be just this bad, and I didn't expect them to be struggling as much as they are. And like I said, you can't really predict these things. You just have to pick who you feel like you can pick, and you ride with it. And Sacramento has been one of the most disappointing teams to be 11 games under 500, especially with the type of roster that they have. It's just unacceptable. It really is. But you can say the same thing about Portland. You still have Dame. You still have CJ. You pick up Hassan Whiteside. You have Carmelo. You have a lot of interesting pieces on his team, and they just can't figure out how to play defense and how to run a great offense throughout the whole season, which has been one of the biggest disappointments this year, was the fact that Portland, they're just not that good anymore, which nobody really seen coming, even though they still do have time to, make up some ground. They're a 3-4 game win streak away from being back into that eighth seed, but it's getting tougher because Memphis is continuing to win, and so is the Thunder. And the Portland Trailblazers still haven't shown that consistency or that urgency to really go out there and continue to fight and try to make that eighth spot. And even then, that is not that good of trying to fight for the eighth seed in the West, especially when the Lakers have been one of the most dominant teams this year. Do you really want to make the playoffs and get knocked out by the Lakers, which is most likely going to happen unless an injury or something occurs? I don't know why I be prioritizing that, and I feel like this deal kind of gives you that same perspective that they get a wing, they get somebody that can shoot, but at the same time, it's not a big deal like a Kevin Love trade or a Danilo Gallinari trade. It's a trade that they needed to make, but it's a trade also that doesn't really get them anywhere when it comes to winning. This trade really doesn't make a big difference, in my personal opinion, for either team. But I understand why it was made salary wise, and I do understand why Sacramento did it. And I do understand why Portland's still trying to figure out who they are and what they can and can't do out there on the court. So I really want to see how the trade deadline continues to go for both of these teams, because they're both stuck in a position that neither team really thought they would be in, and neither team wants to be in. And them last couple spots in the West starting to get locked up. So it's either go for it now in the last 20 some games and really try to win as many as you can in the next 3-4 weeks, because this is going to shape how you make the playoffs, and it's going to really determine if you can or you can't make it. But like I tell you guys, this is a trade that makes sense. This is a trade that I don't really think will make a big difference in the West. I don't really think that it's going to really change either one of these franchises. But also, it's a trade that we thought, possibly would happen. And now it's just about seeing what their next move is, and seeing what they're going to try to accomplish for the rest of the season. If they can turn it around, or if they can pick up another player that can really make a big difference as the trade deadline comes closer to an end. But let me know what you guys think. Who won a trade? Who didn't win the trade? Do you think this trade mattered? Do you think it was stupid? Do you think neither team is really going to benefit from it? Do you think that at the end of the day that Portland won a trade or Sacramento won a trade, or is I'm sleeping on these players that got traded? And at the end of the day, both teams are in the same position, and both teams are trying to get out of this position, and that's what it all comes down to. And we just gonna see, can they be able to do that before the season is over, and can they make a playoff spot? Let me know what you guys think, though.